All right, well, we're coming up on the very last weekend that you have during school, right? So this will be the last Friday. I mean, next Friday you'll be returning books and stuff. You won't be doing school. So let's see. Today is Thursday, though. Tomorrow will be your Friday. So I'm excited. I'm a little sad, I have to admit, but I'm excited. Got a lot to do before then, though. Got all that graduation stuff to take care of. Got final grades to do. Got to wrap everything up, make sure that everybody's prepared. And don't forget summer school. If you want to come to summer school and have a good time, we're going to do summer school as much as we are allowed to. Okay, so if you're interested in summer school, sign up for it. We do a lot of fun things. We work. We make sure that your brains don't go dead over the summer. We focus in on kind of math skills. We do creative writing assignments. We have fun with that. You can ask people that have been in summer school before. And then we take field trips. Now, I don't know how that's going to work this year. We are going to take field trips, but probably not the same ones we took last year, because I don't know if the museums are even going to be open. I don't know what's going on there. But last year we went to some museums. We did some fun things like that. We went to the Perot Museum. We went to the DMA. We went to, I think we went to Audie Murphy one day. So we did a lot of fun things last year. And we're going to do fun things this year. We'll figure it out. Maybe we may end up going to the lake, and just fish and read a book on fishing or something. I don't know. We will be having fun trips. And, of course, we'll also be, doing, like swim parties and, every week. So we try to make it fun. It's not like regular school, but we do school work. So be aware of that. But if you're interested in doing summer school, let your parents know. It's about 3 weeks in June and 3 weeks in July. And I think we go 3 days a week, 4 days a week. You have to, I don't have the paper in front of me. But at least, you get some social interaction, you have some fun, you learn some things, hopefully. Now, back to work. Let's look in our Bibles. We're in Ephesians, and we're in Ephesians chapter 4. Today, we're going over a passage that, can be a little controversial. There's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions about it, but we're going to use our basics, and I'm going to try to guide you through this, okay? If someone that you respect and love differs in opinion from what I'm going to say today, please don't be confused by that. As long as we all love Jesus, we're all going to be fine. But here we go. Now, verse 7, but to each one of us, grace was given according to the measure of Christ's gift. Therefore, he says, when he ascended on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts to men. Now, that's a quote from Psalms 68:18 that Paul is quoting there. And he says, he ascended on high and led the captivity captive. And that's a prophecy about Jesus when he died. And then Paul says, now, if he ascended, what does it mean but that he also descended into the lower parts of the earth? Okay? He who ascended is the one who ascended far above all the heavens, that he might fulfill all things. Now, keep in mind what the context of this is. Paul is talking about the gifts that Jesus Christ has given to us as Christians, his own, okay? Now, he talks about him ascending and descending. Now, when Jesus died, he didn't just, on the cross, he didn't just go to heaven. Okay? He didn't go up to be with the Father. In fact, he makes that very clear because he told Mary when he came back after he was resurrected and saw Mary, he says, don't cling to me. I haven't been to the Father yet. Well, where was he? Well, he was in a place that he described as paradise or Abraham's bosom. He told a parable in Luke about when people died before Jesus Christ was died on the cross and was resurrected. When people died, they went to one of two places. If they were people of faith, if they believed in the Messiah prophetically, if they believed in him, they went to a place called Abraham's bosom. Okay, the place of Abraham. Okay, that means that is the Abrahamic covenant, the Abrahamic promise. Okay, what does that mean? Well, righteousness was credited to Abraham based on his faith. And therefore, if people had faith, then righteousness was credited to them, and they were in Abraham's bosom. If, however, you had no faith, this is the parable that Jesus told in Luke about the rich man and Lazarus and the rich man. If you died and you didn't have faith, you went to a place of torment. You know, we would call that place hell, place of the dead. Okay. Well, both of these places were down. They were lower than our existence. I don't know if that means dimensionally or if that means literally, but however you define that, Jesus, when he died, he descended to that place. And of course, he's talking about the captives that were in Abraham's bosom. They were captive because they could not go to the Father yet, so they were captive. And Jesus went down and that's where he was for 3 days, and because he was in a place of the dead for 3 days, but not in the tortured place. It doesn't say he was there. He says he was in paradise. He told the guy on the cross who said, "Remember me, when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus said to me, "Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Okay, so that paradise is Abraham's bosom. That's where Jesus went when he died. And 3 days later, he was resurrected and led everybody in that place out. And the Bible even says that many of them were seen. Many of them had died recently and could be recognized. Remember, they didn't have pictures of everybody back then. So there were probably people walking around. People didn't know who they were. But a lot of the people who had died recently, it says they were recognized. They were seen and recognized for who they were. And that was during that time, right after Jesus was resurrected, until he ascended into heaven. But the point of this passage is really not to tell us this is not really to point out details about what happened to Jesus in those 3 days, or to point out how the afterlife worked in those 3 days. The point of this passage, and that's what we need to keep in mind, is to tell us about the gifts. Okay, that's what Paul is talking about in the context of this. And he goes on to say, in verse 11, "And he himself gave to some to be apostles, to some prophets, to some evangelists, and some pastors, and some teachers, for the equipping of the saints, for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come to the unity of faith and the knowledge of the Son of God, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ." Paul loves these run-on sentences. He just keeps adding and adding and adding because he keeps thinking great things to say. But remember the context of everything that we're reading. Okay, the context of basically Ephesians in general. When we started in Ephesians earlier in the week, this whole passage in Ephesians is about unity, and it's about not being jealous of one another. All the gifts that we are given are given to us to benefit one another. So if my brother gets the gift of ministry in a particular area, whether it be an evangelist or whether it be a pastor or a teacher, we shouldn't be jealous of that, because that is for our benefit. Now, and he says that we're given all these gifts, and I believe that the apostles and the prophets are, for the most part, complete. The apostles were the 12 apostles because they were written on the 12 stones. But nevertheless, whether you believe that the apostles continue or the prophets continue, that's really not important in this passage. What's important is that the apostles and the prophets and the teachers and the evangelists, they're all for our benefit, and they're to unify us. It says that he's given these gifts to men for the equipping of the saints, for the work of ministry, and for the edifying of the body of Christ, till when? So when we work together in ministry, when we're edified, that means taught about, for the teaching of doctrine and things like that. And what was the third thing? Edifying? Equipping. Okay, equipping for the work of ministry. So to know how to do things and how to do them properly. Well, then it says, he's given these things till we all come to unity in faith. So even these gifts, even though we might benefit from them in an eternal way, because people will come to know Jesus and then their lives have changed for eternity, but these gifts are only until we come into the fullness of Christ, and then we will all have, I believe, the benefits of all of these gifts. I mean, that's what it says. It says these gifts will till we all come to the unity of faith. And remember, he talked about in the previous passage we looked at yesterday, there's only one faith. And so when we come into that, it says, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. In other words, we're going to be made whole. We're going to be made full. We're not going to be lacking anything. We're not. When we get to heaven and eternity, we're not going to be lacking the gift of prophecy. We're not. We're going to be a beneficiary of that gift, one way or the other. So I think it's a beautiful passage. I think that's why I love Ephesians so much. And I think that we really, over and over again, Paul is saying that we should focus on unity and focus on treating each other with love and not being jealous of one another and not wishing we had something that we don't. So that's my encouragement for you today. And I will see you tomorrow for Bible Story Friday. I don't know. I'll try to think of something fun.